Hər vaxtınız xeyir olsun əziz dinləyicilər. Diaspora FM-də Onlar nə düşünür adlı yeni layihəni dinləyirsiniz. Verilişimizin ilk qonağı Amerika Birləşmiş Ştatlarının New York ştatında yaşayan insan hüquqları müdafiəçisi, milli təhlükəsizlik analitiki Irina Zuckerman suallarımızı cavablandırıb. What lessons do you think the world can learn from how Azerbaijan cared for its IDPs and is now resettling them?
No refugee crisis or IDP crisis is ever easily solvable. Let's not be under any illusion that there is a silver bullet for issues created by nearly 30 years occupation, whether in Azerbaijan or anywhere else. We have seen the devastating effects of crisis of refugee and IDP related issues in other countries, and we have seen how horribly mishandled they have been, sometimes because there is no easy, clear solution to masses of people suddenly having to flee misfortune, war, devastating economic loss, social upheavals. In Azerbaijan, however, we do have a positive example of, despite various challenges, that issue having been addressed with care, with a real investment into providing a solution for people who were left with nothing. It wasn't an easy path following the occupation. Those who were fleeing, were living in a country that was just recovering from the effects of the Soviet Union and its economic and political policies that had devastated the region in more ways that can be easily addressed in one conversation. So there were unique challenges of a country trying to raise itself up from being itself under the boot of the Soviet Union for so many decades. At the same time, there was just simply no option, because allowing the crisis to take over the country and would have been meant an additional loss in addition to the loss of the territories. So what I've seen from having visited Azerbaijan, from having talked to former IDPs and refugees and their experiences, despite the devastating losses, they were reabsorbed into the country to the extent that was possible, considering the trauma and the losses they were dealing with and the difficulties the countries have faced. They were not discriminated against. They were given opportunities to succeed, even considering all these challenges. And they were welcomed by the rest of the population, even though the times were not easy. And Azerbaijan was actually very good about raising awareness for the situation in those early years and for providing accurate information about what was going on to the international community. The crisis was something that was acknowledged by the world, by international institutions and organizations, and they had to admit that Azerbaijan was not only on the right side, but was handling the situation with care, with whatever resources it had available at the time, and with the utmost investment into creating a solution, rather than just using the crisis as an opportunity to ask for assistance. And I have to say, it's incredibly encouraging to see the resilience of the people on both sides, both those who had everything taken away from them and yet remained dedicated to success of their country, to success in their personal lives, to not being treated as victims, and on the part of the government that did not use the situation as an excuse to become dependent on others for assistance, but rather was motivated to succeed, to resolve the issue on its own terms. And it has succeeded to such an extent that, in fact, many people are not even aware of what an issue it was to begin with. I mean, it was actually, to some extent, it almost became a victim of its own success in that regard. That's something not to be forgotten when we're discussing the past and when we're discussing the facts of their occupation, because Azerbaijan did such a great job reabsorbing their IDPs and working with the diaspora, with the refugees in other countries. Many people around the world don't even know that there was a crisis to begin with.
As the Azerbaijani refugees return home, are you optimistic that the liberated territories can be rehabilitated?
I'm very excited about the future because I believe that the territories will not only be rehabilitated, but they will flourish. And they will flourish within a few years from now, not maybe a year or two, maybe in 5 to 10 years, but it will be an area that will become the hub of innovation, the hub of entrepreneurship, the hub of culture and excitement in the entire region, not just Azerbaijan. Because of the unique challenges that this area has faced, it will actually be at the forefront of innovation and innovative practices in rehabilitation. And for that reason, it will actually recover from hardship faster than even other areas in Azerbaijan that have been recovering from the effects of the war or previous challenges. It will actually become a more successful area than other parts of the country. That's my prediction. It will attract tourists. It is a strategically important area in a geopolitical context, so we will see more attention from big players around the world, and I don't mean just the ones currently involved in the region. I'm talking about once it becomes an obviously attractive area for investments and for companies, you will see countries that are not currently all that involved or interested or even connected to the crisis, looking towards these territories for exploration, for engagement. Let's not forget the mining that is being returned to the government. That's going to be of an interest to many private and public entities around the world. So rehabilitation here is not even the correct word. We should be looking forward to it becoming an epicenter of all sorts of business and tourists and economic activity in the near future.